Our Beechwood Board of Education meeting for August 12th. Lori, would you like to do roll?
Mrs. Berger.
Here.
Mr. Hood.
Here.
Mrs. Slate.
Here.
Mrs. Stricker.
Here.
Mrs. Sullivan.
Here.
Okay, no public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, on to discussion and action agenda. Make a motion to approve the tax rate.
I'll make the motion to approve the new tax rate.
I'll second.
Again, the recommendation to the board and the recommendation that you're passing along in your motions is a 4% tax increase. As I said before, with the loss to the property assessments, it would probably been the recommendation anyway. However, with the language of the bill or the language of the budget, to be eligible for the recovery dollars, you are required to take a 4%. So it's not that you really had an option if you wanted that money from the budget. So just to make sure everybody was aware of that budgetary language, that's the only thing I want to add to the minutes.
I would also like to add to the minutes on the tax hearing that the law has changed and Jeremy, if you want to add to any of this, that I want to add to the minutes that the law has changed on how we do the tax rate, like a separate hearing. So moving forward, we will not do a separate hearing. We will do it all in one meeting, and unless it's in excess of 4%. So we've done it the last 2 years this way just to continue what we've done in the past, but we don't have to be doing it that way. So unless there's something more than 4%, we'll do it like all at one meeting. So.
And I think the intent, just to make sure, to clarify, I think the intent behind that statement and the change was that if you weren't going up to the 4%, it was not recallable anyway. So
Right.
Someone can still approach the board at a regular meeting, sign up and have the same discussion on their opinion.
It's just not a separate tax hearing.
But it's not a
That's correct.
separate.
Is needed.
Because you're not making it eligible for recall. So,
Right.
yeah, but that is correct.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions about the tax rate before we vote?
That's just a recommend. We don't need a motion on that.
Yes, we do. We already did that, and now we're going to vote.
We're having discussion.
No, good.
Right.
Yes, yes. Okay.
All right. Mrs. Berger.
Yes.
Mr. Hood.
Yes.
Mrs. Slate.
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. On to the policy and procedures. Take a motion to approve the updated policy and procedures for the 24-25 school year.
I'll make the motion to approve the updated policy and procedures for 24-25 school year.
I'll second it.
Does anybody have do you have anything to add to that? I mean, we did it. Yeah.
No, other than just, like I said before, we have the updates from KSBA based on the last legislative session. And then Mr. Kaiser and Dr. Schobel went through, which is always good for new roles to go through and review and go over all the existing policies. And those were the other changes,
Right.
Updating those. So those are the two things.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Mrs. Berger.
Yes.
Mr. Hood.
Yes.
Mrs. Slate.
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan. Yes.
Okay, motion carries. On to our next item. It's the motion to rescind SFCC offer of assistance that was approved on February 12th of 24 in the amount of $7,110.86. Take a motion to rescind that offer.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. I'll second.
Okay, so
I know, that's what I was going to say. Why are we giving back money? We don't ever give back money. What are we giving back?
Right. So we've always made
I
a
did
habit of
ask
taking the SFCC, which is the State Facility Construction Commission, offer of assistance. That is to help to support any of your facility projects. Typically, you never want to, give back money. However, this is one time that we can have access to around $800,000 of escrow, eight plus. But in order to pull down your escrow, you cannot accept the FCC offer in that time frame. So the two things that we've talked about that we kind of ran into, which we're still on budget, but this gives us a little bit of flexibility, was the sewage drain and the auditorium. Both of those were pretty big change orders. So this just gives us a little bit of extra flexibility moving through the project if needed. It doesn't make, I mean, I know you never want to give back money, but $7,000 versus the ability to draw down the escrow, that's a much bigger difference.
It's a no-brainer.
So that's the purpose for the motion.
Does anybody have any questions?
I will also say that money is matched, so there's nothing else that we could use it for other than the project. And so that is also important to put out there, that that's not like money from a different account. That's still from your bonding capacity.
So next year, when we get an offer, we still, I mean, that's
Yep.
just for this past, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Next year when we get an offer, we'll be back to make the motion to recommend to accept it.
Okay. Any other questions? You have anything else to add?
No,
Okay.
I mean, I'll just add to that was also the recommendation of RSA, our bonding agent, just to make sure. I feel like the interest.
I guess you can't do both, right?
Can't do both.
Okay.
Can't do both.
It's worth the ask.
That's in discussion with them. We have about $750 in interest that we've earned off of the bond. So I mean, that's a good. I think we'll be fine. But just in case, that's their recommendation as well.
Okay. All right.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan? Yes.
Okay, motion carries on to our next item, which is the motion to approve BG1 for Phase 7. Take a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve BG1 for Phase 7.
I'll second.
Okay, do you want to explain?
Yeah, I'm
Phase
just going to
7?
start out by saying I'm not going to ever do another BG1. You guys are going to have to get somebody else. But this is basically the items that were removed from the initial Phase 6A and 6B due to the COVID and supply chain and your estimate coming back a little bit heavier. With a couple of things to knock off of your long-range facility plan. So there are some athletic components to this. However, I will say that we have Title IX. We have a couple of Title IX issues that need to be cleaned up. Right now, softball does not have a press box, or so that is an element of and a bullpen. For their pitching, so that puts them back in shape from a Title IX standpoint. We have two safety issues with the baseball press box and the football press box. I mean, I won't say that they're not to code but they're not to code.
Good.
Those things really need to be fixed for very specific reasons. You've added a potential, depending on how we move forward, of increased seating as well, a maintenance space, and environmental engineering building. And then another major repair issue. Even though it is athletics, the tennis courts, we tried to repair them this year. That heel was just sliding, so they cracked. I mean, we invested money that made it about 4.5 months, not all the way through season. So it's not. I just want to remind that there are facility issues that are problematic, and I think Ms. Lee can very much attest
Absolutely.
to the situation with tennis. If we don't fix them, then we're not going to be able to use them. So it's just cleaning up a couple of those items and also adding a storage area and agri-science building.
Do they feel comfortable that they can fix that sliding hill?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just gonna take digging in, reinforcing it with concrete, and then coming back and backfilling. So it's not gonna be a problem. It's just anytime you do earthwork, you know, that's not the cheapest work. And so.
So when
yeah.
we're looking at that option, you know what I'm probably going to say, but
I'm afraid.
the hillside over there where we're trying to push back, is there a way we can make additional seating at that time with that, like kind of do a twofold type thing?
Yeah, I mean, if it depends on how bids, right? I mean, that's what we talked about on the bids on this. I do think it's my recommendation to maintain at least $3.5 to $4 million of bonding capacity. Even though basically you'll be dealing with a new facility at that point. We've always talked about the most expensive thing that could go down, that could come back on us, is the geothermal, right? And that still would leave you plenty of money to address the geothermal before your bonding rolls off of the 2008 project. So you have about a 4-year window. You know, I think that still leaves you enough. So I mean, I would say if the bids come back, yes. But if not, I would not recommend going any farther. You know, we want to protect that bonding capacity.
Okay.
Where is the new Agri Science building gonna go?
Well, that's another thing that'll depend on bids, right? I mean, there is discussion over where the front trailer is right now, right outside of what's back from the science wing. There's also discussion over here. I mean, it's just going to come back to where is the cheapest place that's in the best proximity to students. I mean, I would like over here, but I will say it's probably going to be over there.
It's a lot more convenient for everybody.
Convenient. It's going to end up being a cheaper cost. There's no earthwork that's going to have to happen, and you're going to be able to tie into electrical and all those things. And you're only going to give up about 4 spots on each side. So, for the cost of 8 parking spots, you're probably going to tell me to put it over there.
So will there be any funding like that we once talked about from the state for that?
We will apply.
Okay.
The way it was written, we had to wait a year.
Okay.
And
So
again,
that may offset.
all that's up to, you know,
Yeah.
you're just applying for the BG1.
Right.
Right? You can cut or add or mix around. I would not add unless something comes back amazing, but just because something's listed doesn't mean you have to do it. It's just what you're asking for bids.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
No.
No.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. On to our consent agenda. Take a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have bad words on there, I apologize, but change orders are listed. So start from the beginning. Obviously, approval of minutes, monthly bills, all the same as always happens. Interagency agreement with DCCH, it's once a year. That is you renting the facility from DCCHS to provide the education opportunities for the students who are residents of Guardian Angel. And once a year, Mr. Kaiser and I have met with them, continued to look for ways to address and grow that opportunities for, you know, what I would consider absolutely our most neediest students, even though they're not in our traditional building. Change orders. There are a couple of things, and I'll go through each one of them just so everybody's aware. They don't add up to a lot, but I know there's a lot there. In the auditorium, the architects had moved for all the concrete other than that had carpet on it to be just sealed. I do not think that sealed concrete looks on brand. So this is a $3,000 change order that spray acid on that and provide a more marbling look that, in my opinion, will look much better with the design of the space. It's not a large area, but I do think it was important to keep everything looking cohesive. The second change order is for sidewalks from the brick pavers to the road. The initial project just had from the end of the brick pavers, which is right around the Beechwood sign, back to the building, but that was not going to look good. And on the Ashton side, we needed to have them replaced beforehand anyway. So the second change order was to put new sidewalks all the way to Beechwood Road. The third, we had a door frame and doors that need to be replaced on the second floor of the elementary. It just did not, I don't know whether somebody hit them or whether or not they were just in really bad shape, but we need to be able to secure that area. So the third one is for a new door frame and door replacement. Change order number 4 is a catwalk extension up off of the main catwalk, right as you go into the back stage area where all the stage rigging is located. It did not go all the way to the wall, and therefore, in my opinion, it was a safety hazard. So that will close that area off and up top. Change order number 5. If you'll remember, we were to code on the balcony area of the auditorium, the wall that was glass. It was to code, but in my opinion, code was not high enough. So change order number 5 extends the glass up on the balcony to, in my opinion, make a safer environment.
Is that just at the bottom of each step, like each
Runs
step, or
all
is
the way
it the whole?
across.
Okay.
Runs all the way across. I know some of it is because I'm taller, but I just did not feel comfortable with where it was. So that is the extension of that. Change order number 6 is really small and not very much, but the brick columns on the entrance to the student center were wrapped in wood, but the bottom was not connected in wood. So I asked for a number 6 to make that look more cohesive down the hallway. Also takes away from any drywall, and as students bump into it,
It looks nice.
It looks nice and more cohesive. It did not make a change at the top. I think it looks great, but the bottom definitely I thought was better. Change order number 7 was more red tile in the restroom areas. Again, a really small, like $900, but and just to frame some things was a change order. Change order number 8. If you walk in the student center, there's 2 drop downs in the ceiling that run from front to back. The clouds are in the middle. There was actually a ceiling on the left side in front of the sports, but it would have dropped down too low and changed the aesthetics. Therefore, we removed the ceiling and asked that the ceiling be painted black to match the other side behind the clouds. But when we did that, they had to spray, they had to basically, I would call it scuffing up all the ductwork to be able to hold black paint. That was a small change order, but it looks way better than trying to do a drop ceiling the way it come out. It looked good on the plans, but then when we went to fruition, it just wasn't going to look good. Change order number 9 and number 10. The roof drain line is number 9. And to notch out a place in the metal to run the drain line are both from the main unit on top. The architectural drawing didn't match up with reality, so 2 small change orders to put a different drain line and to put the drain line in a different location. And then change order number 12. We did not have electrical four boxes in the video broadcasting room. So to keep a cord from being present, we added a 4-box to the broadcasting room. Those are the change orders if anybody has any questions.
No, but I do have a question about the steps that, where the full windows are. Is that all open underneath there?
Yes.
Okay, under the steps.
Under the steps is open, and that's where we're looking at the Beechwood Brew taking up shop in the mornings.
Okay.
And there'll also be some storage behind that because it runs the whole length of the steps. And that will be a change order coming next month. Because it's open, there had to be a sprinkler line run underneath the steps because technically the steps block the other sprinkler from reaching it, even though it's all concrete and steel.
Okay.
It is to code. Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay. Use of facilities, nothing out of the line. A field trip to over 100 miles. Football team's heading to Corbin to play in their opening tournament. School-based mental health grant. We accept that every year. Currently, that pays for the third counselor in the high school. Supplemental CTE funds. That's what we've typically called the LAVIC grant. Down a little bit, but still provides a lot of money for us in our CTE programs. Perkins grant, which Perkins is the one that we are the host agency for with Walton and
Oh, there's like 6. There's 6 other
okay, yeah, right.
We're the fiscal agents.
Title III is the one that Fort Thomas is hosting, but we're part of. Yes. And then technology surplus, you're approving to have some of the older equipment surplus and moved on, and that is a consent agenda. If there's any questions overall, I'll be more than happy to answer. And just for your information, we do have this the mental health base grant for this year and next year. This year and 2 more. So
Is that renewed or was that new?
it's a 4-year.
Oh, it's 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
you have to renew it. You have to approve it every year
Okay.
to receive the funds.
Okay.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Okay. On to information. Superintendent's report. Finance
So
report?
we were happy to get the state. We finally got the state, which we were able to pass on the tax, but no major change. I mean, it was about $90,000 to the good based on Christie's initial projection. So, I mean, it's always good to have more money after the final numbers come in than less. So that's good. Christie's also done a really good job of keeping track of the change orders. We actually were able to tell some of the people that we employ through the thing exactly how much left in contingency as opposed to the other way around. So that's been a lot of work, and I know it's been a lot lately, but financials, we won't really know, right, until we find out exactly what the PVA fix, how much that's going to put back into the budget. As soon as we get that, we'll report that on. As far as my report, I continue to meet. We have a couple of subs that you all are fully aware of that we continue to have, or at least I've kept Jeannie up to date. We have a couple of subs that we've had to press to get more people on site. I know it's time on other projects, but we have a timeline too. Continue to make progress. However, our job is to make sure we open in a timely fashion. That is the work, especially with adding a new BG1 tonight. The more that we can get done in a timely fashion, the more that we move forward and be done with construction. I know everybody is ready for that to happen. I don't have a lot. I know the elementary's really trying to keep us on time tonight to be able to have the cafeteria. Other than that, we do have some cleanup items out on the stadium entrance that should be happening here. It will not interrupt anything or any games or any of that. The gym is going to be open. They got air conditioning hooked up today, so we should be good on air in the gym for the start of school and the fall athletic season. I know the little ones have gym in there every day, so that's been important. The gym lobby will be opened and kids will be able to access the gym. The only thing that won't be open is that back hallway back by the locker rooms. All the block is up. They're working on the electric, all the plumbing's in. So the locker rooms are progressing and should be in good shape by basketball and season.
The Tiger Zone has electric?
The Tiger Zone has electric.
Thank goodness.
I feel bad. I do feel bad for volleyball. I know that they're having to work without locker rooms, but we'll get those in as quick as possible. As far as out front, the fencing was moved back to provide access to the front lawn. We'll probably still have some parking there for a little bit for the foremans, but all construction workers will go back to the swim club starting today. Justin was here. I know Steve was here yesterday doing a lot of work, getting everything ready. They've done a great job getting things clean and back ready for open house tonight.
Front lawn looks nice.
What's
You
it?
can tell they've done a lot of work to the
Well,
front lawn.
they were here a long time. I know the cleaning crew was here, all weekend as well. So that has been a blessing so far.
It's not as dusty.
Yeah, it's not as dusty. And that's after like 4 cleanings to not be as dusty. Then today, I think most of you all were here for opening day. The teachers and staff, it's good to have them back on campus. It's always, as much as close of the year, I feel like we're always, you're kind of limping across the finish line at the end of a marathon. The opening day is kind of the opposite. It's nice to see everybody energized and ready to have kids on Wednesday morning. We have the safety protocols going back into place for workers, for the back entrance. There are just a lot of kids on campus, and we still have a lot of construction workers on campus, and the two don't always mix well together. So all those protocols that we had last year will go back into place, actually starting today.
So they'll be entering all over there?
Yeah, and no construction worker will enter anywhere other than the high school, and depending on where they're going, we'll have a staff person with them. It really shouldn't be a major. I mean, we still have a little work on the nurses station that could have an impact a little bit downstairs, and then eventually the elementary lobby. We're just waiting on that door to come in to be able to put that up and secure that. So there's a couple places, but anything in the back, they should come around. We went over all those. I know Justin met with the foreman's meeting. We met with the larger group at the construction meeting today. So all those protocols go back into place.
And so all that is secure, so nobody can get from the elementary to
No,
like the
no
construction
construction
site?
worker will be allowed in the elementary.
Well, I'm not talking the construction, I'm talking kids.
Oh yeah. All the stuff has been. We're back to wood barriers or metal barriers at all the different points of entry. Which there
Right.
were 2 downstairs, 3 over here, and then the 2 doors coming out of the student center or the old commons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all those are back secure.
All secure and like, not, okay. Never know, they like to wander around.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
They
The
do.
little ones especially.
Yeah.
Like to see what's
So,
happening.
and that's what, we pass on to them. It's not necessarily just for them. It's, our construction workers one way, it's kids the other way. I mean, we've gone back to our protocols at night. Kids like to get in and see and wonder, and it's just not a safe environment yet. All right, that's all I have unless you guys have specific questions on any topic.
Anybody?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, we don't have to vote. We already voted on the, did we vote on the consent agenda or did? Okay. All right.
Superintendent's report.
Okay, perfect. And then take a motion to make the agenda part of the official board minutes.
So moved.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Huh?
Did somebody second?
I'll second.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yeah.
Mrs. Slade? Mrs.
Yes.
Stricker? Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Any other business, anything new for the school year, like that's coming up?
No, not from my, it's just back to kids being on campus 24/7, adults being on campus 24/7, which makes it back to life. It's just, we've got a lot of work to do and I continue to try to get that done. I know Dr. Schobels had a lot of stuff going on today as well with back to school and trainings. So, I mean, everybody is just busy. See, Jane is kind of.
Nights here in August and September where there'll be 10 events going on. Just for everybody. Working on some of those nights can be tough. We have several things scheduled. We try to avoid most of them. There's still a couple nights in the fall. There's soccer, volleyball, something going on here. Try to spread it out.
Right. Well, yeah.
And we have cut down, stopped multiple varsities happening on the
At the
same
same
night.
time. So what
Right.
about our status with like Kroger in the parking lot? I like get a lot of questions about that. I mean,
Kroger in the parking lot.
In the parking lot, like,
I mean, we have our designated spots, they have
Mhm.
technical spots.
Right.
We've done a good job of, well, the major issue last year was majority construction was parking everything.
Oh, okay.
How to train them to sort of close their options.
mm-hmm,
But that kind of alleviated the barber shop and Subway. Our kids do a pretty good job. I think almost stragglers here and there.
Right.
Spot. Overall, I think we do pretty good. It's just making sure the first 3 weeks we monitor,
right.
communicate.
Yeah, and can continue. Yeah. I know, and it's a constant struggle over there. I
It works
just,
itself out.
Well, and our kids, I mean, just to be honest, right, they could use a little bit more exercise and park farther away and probably not bring as many red flags. But they like to get the closest spot, especially when when the fence was ripped. Closest spot was right there by the Subway and the jewelry store, and you know they just bebopped around, and it was great for them. But they also need to realize they're very highly visible when they pull up right there and get out of the car and
With a backpack.
walk by side, open windows. So
And a backpack.
we was also work to try to train them.
Take your time, your balls over.
That's right. That's right.
don't make it so obvious, is that what you're saying? Mhm.
Yeah.
I know.
And I know.
But it is a little bit, and I know we've asked for help before, but I think Kroger dictates how much we can give.
Private property.
Yeah,
Right, so we have no.
that's
we
always
have-
the confusion, I think.
Kroger's okay with the company that has the lot. They're the one, Kroger's like, we're here all day.
Yeah.
So it's more the property owner there? I was wondering why that's always such a,
Kroger's been.
they always push back on us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every once in a while they get a security guard that wants to, train.
Yes.
And
do.
then, but Kroger's been
Citizens
Kroger's been great. Most all the businesses have been great. It just, we do have 32 spots there, and I know they wish we didn't, but we do, and so it's a constant. But we seem to have held a good relationship, especially with Kroger. I mean, they've been great.
We've always been responsive, so they just appreciate if we make an attempt to fix it.
mhm. It just gets a little aggressive sometimes with, it's not necessarily our students, but pickup and stuff like that. So, it gets a little,
I've made it very clear I do not like pickup at Kroger,
yeah.
but I
It is hard.
cannot stop pickup at Kroger. It's
Yeah.
private property. Kids have the ability to walk here. If a kid walks up, all we can do is put a staff person up there, especially with the little ones, to make sure that we don't have a kid playing out in the parking lot if they're not picked up, and keep them,
Do we
on
still
this
have a
side.
staff person up there? Okay, that was my next
Yeah, it's
question.
crazy to be in Kroger's when school lets out.
Yeah,
It is crazy over there. Plus, you have people coming into Kroger from on the pharmacy side, and they have coming through, and then it's everybody congested, and I think
flow is terrible.
it gets a little
And you
hairy.
have student drivers on top of that.
Yeah, yes, correct.
I want another just public comment to make sure we're all on the same page. I don't want anybody thinking that we're doing something, but the trees out front, there's some dead in them that definitely need to be trimmed out. I mean, we always have a safety concern, but we're going to have to trim out the front trees. That front, if you're standing at the steps looking out to Beechwood Road, the very front right tree that was struck by lightning right around COVID time, I mean, we continue to nurse it, but you know, you can tell it's struggling.
There's some debt. Did you have
What's
somebody?
that?
Both of those trees are right close
Yeah, yeah. But that front one, you can tell. I mean, you can look at it and tell that it doesn't look like the other. You know, that was a major lightning strike that I really didn't think it would come back from. And then the one on the right-hand side closest to the road, there's a whole major limb that needs to be cut out. So we'll get that rolling and make that happen on whatever night we can find that there's nobody around.
Yeah, that might not happen.
Yeah. Well, it's got to happen.
Yeah, it does. It's very, like, you can notice
You
it.
can look at them and see exactly what I'm talking about, but that front one, I want everybody to understand that has nothing to do with construction, that has nothing to do with the soil quality. I mean, it was a major lightning strike that blew out. All you have to do is look at the bottom, look at the base of the trunk. All the bark was blown off when the strike come down. So anyway, I just want to make sure that we're all aware of that. I don't want any panic if people see a tree company. Just good to put that out on the table.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
I'll second it. Kristen?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
All right.